What's up, world? It is your boy Chris Anthony coming at you live and direct one more time, and I got a good subject, man. Today what I want to be talking about is how to become aware. Now, in order for you to become aware, you have to first wake up in the dream. In order to wake up in the dream, you have to see through the illusion. In order to see through the illusion, you have to realize that reality is more than it appears to be. Now, in Hinduism, what they call reality is Maya. They call it the illusion. And what it is the appearance of the phenomenal world, or the appearance of the physical world. And they call the appearance of the physical world the illusion. So, how does this make sense? Because this is what happens. You perceive the physical world through your five senses. Now, that's touch, taste, smell, hearing, and seeing. You perceive it through those five senses, and these five senses are actually limited to the information they can take in at one time. So the five senses can only take in so much information at one time. An example of this would be, let's say for instance, the way you see things. Now, when you're actually viewing an image, the only way you can view it is if light reflects off the object and then goes into your eye, then it hits your cornea. And your cornea bends the object and turns it upside down and sends it to your retina. And then your retina receives it upside down, and your brain flips the image right side up, and then you say, oh, that's a tree. And that's how it works. So as you can see, even with the sense of sight, it's limited. It can do certain things, but it doesn't see reality as it all the way is. Now, I'm not saying that reality is an illusion, because it's pretty real. Like, if you try to walk through a brick wall, you won't go through that wall. You're going to have to walk around it or do something like that. But this reality that we are in is not all the way what reality is, and I'll explain more on that. So the five senses is what happens, and the thing is, the way or the reason that you get stuck inside of the illusion, or you are asleep inside of the dream, is because you are connected to your five senses and you're stuck inside of the five sense reality. Now, David Icke talks a lot about this, the five sense reality, and how everybody is stuck inside the five sense reality because you believe that you are your body, and you're actually not. Now, your body is real and you are your body, but that's only one part of you. In truth, you are actually a multi-dimensional being. Now, you can exist in your body and in other dimensions. Your body is for this dimension, is for this reality, because everything that's in this dimension, the third reality, has to be matter, because space and time is inside of this reality. So in order for something to operate inside of space, it has to be material. So your body is the material suit that you have on in order for you to live inside of this reality and experience life in the third dimension. And you use your five senses to perceive the things that are around you. So we got that down pat. Now, the thing is, like I said, you get stuck in this five sense reality. How do you get stuck? You get stuck through your emotions. Now, your emotions keep you tied into your five senses, which keep you tied into the illusion. Your emotions usually control you in most people. Like, most people don't have a balance of their emotions. They don't have mastery over the emotions. So what happens is your emotion makes you invested into this reality. And it makes you invest because it makes it more realer than it actually is. It makes it so real because when you experience hurt, when you experience pain, when you experience happiness, when you feel joy and peace and pleasure, all of that seems so real. And you pretty much are saying there's no way that this can be fake or any type of way. And really, it's not. It's not fake at all. The reality we live in is not fake, but the appearance of the reality is the illusion. So your emotions keep you tied in to the appearance of reality. Why? Because we're always chasing good emotions and we're always running away from negative emotions. So you start to play this game, and I like to call it the emotional roller coaster. You go all the way up and you feel this good emotion, and then you come all the way back down and you feel a bad emotion, and then you go all the way back up again and you feel this great emotion, pleasure, euphoria, and you go all the way back down and you have a bad day and you feel this bad emotion. So you're always running towards a good emotion or running away from a bad emotion, and then that's why or how you become, and everybody is like this, but we become a slave to our emotions, and we're controlled by our emotions. So we're not the captain of our ship. We're actually being controlled by how our emotions make us feel. So you can have a bad day just because you're not feeling good right now, and that's your emotion, that's your feelings. You can have a great day because you're feeling great. You wake up and you just feel good for some reason. And your emotion caused that too. So you get trapped or stuck inside of your five senses through your emotions. Now this is how your emotions actually operate, and I'm trying to make this a short video, but your emotions actually send out vibrations and signals into the universe, out into the ether. And because you send out these vibrations and these signals out into the universe, what happens is the universe responds with vibrations of its own, and you attract to you certain things. Now the things that you attract are scenarios. These scenarios are things that come about. They have people, places, and things inside of them. But the thing is, and the thing that you usually don't catch on to, is that the scenario is always the same, but the situation is always different, because these scenarios are trying to teach you lessons about your emotions. So your emotions work with the universe to teach you certain lessons, and that's what we don't realize is the name of the game. You're supposed to experience things until you learn certain lessons, and when you pass the lessons, you can move on. But we stay in certain emotional cycles because we never get past the lesson that the universe is trying to teach us. So you keep seeing the same scenario over and over again, but it's a different situation, a different person, a different place or thing inside of that situation, but the same scenario keeps happening over and over and over and over again. It's kind of like the movie Groundhog Day or The Edge of Tomorrow that Tom Cruise played, and he continually woke up inside of the same day and continued to have to do like the same thing over and over again, see the same people, the same scenario, until he finally was able to pass the test or learn the lesson that he was supposed to have. You know, he got the information out of that and then continued to move on. He was able to go on to the next level or defeat that level, and that's what this is. We are in a certain type of game. It's a cosmic game, and you're here to learn certain things so you can grow and then move on to the next level. So when you're stuck inside of this emotional cycle, what's happening is you're stuck inside of your emotions and you're seeing life from a subjective point of view. Now the subjective point of view is connected closely with your emotions and your feelings, and it clouds your judgment because you are subjective. So let's say it's kind of like you're playing the game Call of Duty and you're in first person mode. When you are in first person mode, you're seeing life from the first person. So you're seeing it from a subjective point of view, and your emotions influence you heavily. So you are blinded by your emotions when it comes down to certain things. You miss a lot of different things because your emotions are blinding you, and you are tied closely into your emotions because your emotions in fact are controlling you, and you are a slave to your emotions. So you continually see things like this, and you can continually go through these different lessons that you're trying to be taught. Now the thing, how do you get out of this and wake up? How do you become the dreamer that is awoke inside of the dream instead of being the dreamer that is asleep inside the dream? Because everybody knows, if you ever had a real dream and you're in the dream, all these things happen. Like you start off in your room, then you go to the kitchen and get something to eat, and then all of a sudden you're in Africa around people that you've never seen before, and then you go back to your mother's house and you're sitting there inside, you know, the living room with your brother and your sister, and then all of a sudden you end up in high school, only it's year 2026 or something in the future, and you have rocket booster shoes, and then you start flying, and then you get these superpowers. So all these things are happening, but you don't have any control of it. You're just at the will of your dream, and that's what's going on usually in your life. You are a victim to circumstance, victim to your reality, because you are controlled by your emotions, and your emotions are energy and motion that carry you to and fro. They toss you everywhere, and they beat you down at the end of the day. They make you feel like you're in heaven one day and in hell the next day, because you're a slave to the emotions, and the emotions, like I said, make this reality realer than it is. And also, you thinking that you are your body. You thinking that all you are is the person that walks around and goes to work and has a boss and you know, gets paid this and lives in this apartment, and actually you're not, because you have a body, a soul, and a spirit. Now your body operates in this reality, but your soul and your spirit operates in other dimensions. So you are a multi-dimensional being. You're actually a spiritual being having a human experience. Now when you start to look at it like that way, that's when it gets crazy, because what happens is you start to wake up. But not just knowing that doesn't let you wake up in a dream. You actually have to get over your emotions. Now when you stop letting your emotions be the thing that's controlling your life and be the captain that's driving the ship, then you can take your seat as the captain of the ship. You can be at the seat of your soul, sitting on your throne as the king or the queen, controlling your life. And when that starts to happen, when you get over all your lessons and you start to become more conscious and in the present instead of being in the past or in the future, then you start to notice a lot of things. And becoming conscious is kind of like being in a room. You're in a room and it's lit up, you know, let's say with this small little like candle in the corner of the room. So you can kind of see things that's going on in the room. You can see that this is sitting over there. You have a table right there. You have some shoes probably sitting right there. You can tell it's a couch and it's a nightstand in the room. And you're like, okay, but when you become conscious or you become awake in the dream, what happens is it's kind of like a big fluorescent white bright 100-volt light comes into the room, and now the room looks a lot different because you can see way more things than you saw when it was just this small little, you know, candle light in the room. So now you can see, oh, it's a table, but on that table it's actually some money sitting on that table, and on a nightstand it's kind of like this invention, this great idea that I didn't even know that was there that I could use. And then it's actually somebody sitting on the couch over there. What in the world? I didn't even know all this was going on. And that's what's happening when you start to awake, because what happens is, just like in a dream, you become lucid in a dream, you can become lucid in life. And when that happens, then you have the ability to create certain things inside of your life. You become a co-creator because you're no longer the dreamer. You actually awoke inside of the dream. Now, you don't want to awake from the dream because that would be death at the end of the day, but you want to wake up in the dream. When you wake up in the dream, that's when it starts to get exciting. As we all know, when you become lucid in the dream, that means that you are able to control your dream. You can fly if you want. You can have superpowers. You can do anything you want. You can go any place you want, build a house. You can be in a car. All these things are happening because you are lucid inside of the dream. The same thing in life. When you become lucid in life and awoke in life, then you are aware of a lot of things that you were missing out before because your emotions had you blinded in a cloud, in a haze pretty much, because you were being ruled by your emotions. Whenever you're ruled by your emotions, you actually are operating in autopilot mode. Now, when you wake up from autopilot and you decide to take back over your body and take back over your mind, then you put your emotions to the side and only use them as a tool. Then you can start viewing life through objectivity. Now, objectivity is kind of like playing Grand Theft Auto. In Grand Theft Auto, you're looking at yourself as an avatar. You're looking at yourself as, you know, through third person instead of first person like Call of Duty. So when you look at yourself from third person, you see all the things that are happening around you. You see this person coming from that way, or that car coming from that way. You see somebody that's coming up from behind you. Not saying you can do that in reality, but it's an example. So if you're viewing life through your objective point of view, then you are no longer viewing life through your emotions. You have emotions and you have thoughts, but you're not allowing that to run your life. You're not allowing that to rule your decisions. And you can actually go in any direction that you want to go in, and even if you feel certain emotions, that won't stop you. You will take it into account, but it won't like decide where you're going to go, because you're no longer on the emotional roller coaster, because you learned all the lessons that the emotional roller coaster could teach you. So you decided to get off. Once you get off, you can create inside of this reality, and what happens is you develop a deeper meaning for everything. So let's say in a dictionary, you know how they have meanings of certain words. They have like the meaning of run, and it says to walk or to go faster than you're walking, and that's one meaning of it. But then they always have the number 2 meaning, and then the number 3 meaning. So it's a deeper meaning to the same word, and that's kind of like what happens when you wake up. You have a deeper meaning to everything. So you see the same scenario, but that scenario means something different to you because you see the lesson that you're supposed to learn inside of the scenario. When that happens, it's kind of like you get cheat codes to the game. You get cheat codes, and you start to see all these different things that happen around you, and you start just connecting the dots, because that's what you had to do when you were on an emotional roller coaster. In order to get off, you had to just connect dots. So I got used, I'm talking about myself now, I got used to connecting the dots, seeing the coincidences that were happening all around me, and I just started like zoning in on them, and I would say, oh, every time that happens, this happens, and every time that happens, this happens. And that's how pretty much people found out what the universal laws were, because they said, okay, if I give some money to somebody, then somebody else will give me some money, because that's the law of you reap what you sow at the end of the day. Or if I plant something in the ground, then after some days and some rain and some sunlight, something's going to grow out of it. Or as above, so below, or as within, so without. All these things are different rules. It's kind of like cheat codes. And I really think whoever is watching this video should go into the universal laws, look up the universal laws, and just read through them and kind of study them, because those are kind of like the cheat codes to the universe, like for real. So, but you start to see all of the different coincidences when it comes down to it, and you say, hey, I've seen this situation before. It's kind of like getting a deja vu. You like, man, this happened before, because it pretty much has happened before. Like, you've been in the same scenario before. It's just like a different situation. It's different people, different places, different things, but it's the same scenario. And that's why it looks so familiar. And because it looks so familiar, then you can actually master that level and go to the next level. You don't have to continue to stay in the same emotional cycle. So I'm rambling now, but when you get out, you start to see things a lot clearer. You can lead yourself in the direction that you want to go, and you can actually manipulate your reality. I hate to say manipulate, because, you know, it's a bad connotation that's usually connected to manipulation, but you really, let's say, create. You can create inside of your reality. Like, you can, let's say for instance, you go to a basketball game. Now in the past, you were going to the basketball game and you were just doing it to have fun. You'd be like, oh, it's going to be food here, it's going to be entertainment, they might be playing some music at halftime, it's going to be some ladies all around here, or it's going to be some men if you're a ladies, or whatever you like. It's going to be stuff that's enjoyable at the end of the day. So you're like, okay, yeah, I'm about to go up in this thing and have some fun. And you go and you just have fun. Now that's the surface level of meaning. Now when you start to awake, then you're looking at it a little bit differently. Like, okay, it's a basketball game. I know I'm going to have fun because I had this experience before. I know it's going to be fun, but what else can I get out of this experience? Maybe I can make some connections. I wonder who does the marketing for this basketball game. And if they market, I wonder what they use as a marketing, because I want to get into marketing. And you kind of look for the opportunities in the experience. So first level, I believe, is just you living the experience and learning from the experience. When you get to the second level of being awake in the dream, you start to see how every experience is actually an opportunity, and you see how many opportunities you were actually missing out on because you were blinded by your emotions. Now that gets crazy, because now you're in your body all the way and you're in the dream all the way, instead of being asleep in the dream. It's Chris Anthony. That's enough for this video. Chris Anthony coming at you live. I hope you liked the video. If you did, like it and subscribe, man. Definitely. I'm out.